Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So a new poll came out of Iowa and a recurring theme has been showing, and this has happened since the debate because Donald Trump was not at the debate, doesn't matter. He holds a massive lead in the first primary state over Ron DeSantis. He leads him 51-14, but he's barely in second place. He's almost down to fourth place here, as you can see. And you're looking at this, and he is there at 51. DeSantis is all the way down at 14. And then you see the rise of Nikki Haley after a very polarizing debate performance in which I thought she did an awful job. Some of the more neocons, however, some of these more never Trump types, they liked her responses because she fits their worldview, because she is one of them. And they look at DeSantis, they see his campaign is extremely underwhelming. And he goes out there, he has a very mediocre debate performance, and he doesn't really see a bump at all. A lot of people said he would get an announcement bump. He lost support after he announced, and he lost support after he debated when a lot of people said there would be a debate bump. Donald Trump didn't show up at the debate. It didn't matter. He still maintains a 40-point lead, in this poll at least, in Iowa. Some polls have his lead in Iowa a little bit less than this, but still it's a very commanding, almost insurmountable lead, regardless, especially as Ron DeSantis' campaign is failing to the point where donors are ditching Ron DeSantis. He was essentially supposed to skyrocket because of the fact that, hey, he had donors. That was the only thing he had going for him up until a few months ago, was he had donors. They're going to be funding him. They're going to be spending a lot of money. I still didn't think it would really move the needle, and they spent a lot, and it didn't move the needle. And now many of them are ditching him for somebody else. And we're going to be talking about that in this video because this is huge news, and it's not good news for Ron DeSantis. And it just shows how desperate these donors are to get rid of Trump. And either way, this plan is not going to really work for them. But just like when you see a quarterback go down because of injury, they have a backup, and they had backups on deck. That's why you had so many people in this race. They're on to number 2 right now. Who is number 2? You'll find out after I tell you guys about Noble Gold, because a lot of people are feeling unsure about their finances these days. You're not alone. That's why Noble Gold Investments is here to help. Just hear it from the testimonies. People said, the Noble Gold crew walked me through everything without stress. With their help, I can finally sleep easy at night. And now, this month, Noble Gold Investments is handing out a free 5-ounce silver America the Beautiful coin if you qualify for an IRA. Invest in gold and silver with Noble Gold Investments. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com right now, noblegoldinvestments.com. They're the only gold company that I trust. But you talk about the polling crash, you talk about DeSantis and his donor network. That's what he had going for him. The same donors that funded Bush in 2016, that funded Rubio, that funded to a lesser extent people like Cruz, some of these other people in the primary cycle. They were not funding Trump. They wanted to get rid of Trump. 2020, a lot of them embraced Trump in the general election. And now they see another opportunity to get rid of Donald Trump, so they are ditching him. You have people like Ken Griffin. You have a lot of other people. Bruce Rauner is a very wealthy former governor of Illinois, and he was a massive supporter of DeSantis. He gave him a lot of money for his reelection bid. Rhino Rauner was supporting him, and as a result, what has happened? He is not going to give him money for the presidential race from this point forward because he believes that Nikki Haley is going to go out there and defeat not just DeSantis in the primary. He somehow is deluded enough to believe she can beat Biden, which is not true. But nevertheless, he understands that DeSantis is not beating Trump, and he understands that he probably is going to be falling into third place. And since he's falling and they see other even more neoconservative, even more globalist options on the table, the donors are running straight to them, to the point where DeSantis' campaign is even more of a joke, and it's just failing out there. I guarantee you, another mediocre debate performance or two where he just sits on the sidelines, repeats talking points that he practiced in front of the mirror, in front of his associates, dozens upon dozens of times, and, doesn't attack other people, really just stays out of it, just acts like a robot, and he'll likely be attacked. He's not going to know how to respond as quickly on his feet. It's not going to end well, and they know it. They know it better than anybody, and these people are going to be shilling for Nikki Haley now. And you look at the polls right now, you look at the post-debate polls, it's not a big portion of the GOP electorate. It's like 5% that she's like galvanizing. But that 5%, you add that to whatever she had before, and yes, it makes a dent. You have Ramaswamy there. He's rising. He had a polarizing debate performance. He rose. A lot of his support, who knows where it came from. Some of it did come from Trump. A lot of them probably going to vote for Trump at the end of the day regardless, especially because Ramaswamy won't even be in this race by the time Super Tuesday rolls around unless something drastic happens. But what you do see is Haley's rising, and even people like Chris Christie in some polls are rising, and Ron DeSantis in Rasmussen, which again, it's one poll, he's in single digits. And this is kind of like the canary in the coal mine, because you're probably going to see more polls that have him in single digits, because this guy goes out there and he's propped up by the donors. He has the money behind him. He's supposed to be this guy that's got the record. He's beloved by both wings of the party. Not really. Not really enough quite to make up whatever deficit he's in, because you're looking at this right now. He's down there at 14%. He lost over half of his support that he had in April. And Donald Trump has been indicted 4 times. He's been arrested 4 times. They took his mugshot. And what happened? His numbers have gone up. And they haven't moved a lot recently, but still DeSantis's have fallen to the point where Trump is up there. He's still got a 40-point lead, and he's kind of been a little bit out of the spotlight recently. He hasn't really done a lot of events, done a lot of rallies, didn't go to the debate, but he still has a 40-point lead. He is coasting. He's on cruise control. And as a result, donors know this. They know that Trump is hard to beat, and they still want him gone. But they view DeSantis as somebody who cannot go out there and defeat him. So they are pivoting. They are putting DeSantis on the bench. They're putting Nikki Haley in. That's what they're doing. And Haley is somebody that you look into her electoral record, it's awful. In the red wave year of 2010, she won by like 5 points against somebody who wasn't like a well-known Democrat, wasn't like a total blue dog Democrat. She won re-election in 2014 by a mediocre margin compared to Lindsey Graham and Tim Scott's elections even, to the point where she's not an electoral juggernaut the way people think, and she alienates a lot of conservatives. I don't know if I would vote for Nikki Haley if she got to a general election. I would not, actually. I'd probably vote third party, and then I'd vote Republican down ballot, because she is that awful. She is that atrocious. She's that bad on the issues, and she would redefine the GOP back to the days of Bush, probably even worse on some issues. And she would do it under the guise of conservatism. She is a snake. She is a snake of the highest order. And I think a lot of these donors secretly are cheering on the fact that DeSantis is crashing, because they now have a new backup in there, and they somehow believe that she's stronger. But furthermore, there's a lot of other big DeSantis donors who are not giving the money. 50 of the 50 donors who gave $160,000 leading up to his re-election bid, only 16 of those 50 are backing him for president, to the super PAC that can receive unlimited contributions. So already the money's drying up. He's got 32% of his diehard donors. A lot of them likely did want him to run for president. A lot of those people likely did support DeSantis over Donald Trump. But still, they're not backing him. His campaign is on its last legs, and then he goes out there and he has his moments where he's attacking Trump's voter base, calls them listless vessels, whatever that means, even though listless means you lack energy. DeSantis and a lot of those other people on that debate stage, ironically enough, are listless and vessels because they lack energy and they repeat the same talking points, whatever. At least DeSantis tried to, at least for a bit, appeal to Trump's base, even though he did it very poorly. At least the talking points were somewhat, even though he answered the questions very politically correct. For example, on Ukraine aid, he's like, I don't support a blank check. At least he's not like openly shilling, but still you'll read into it and it's like, he said no blank check. Doesn't mean he's not going to be somebody who will send X amount of money. It's very, very politically correct type of answers to use, in the way that they don't fully turn off the donors, but they still kind of have this tendency to kind of hoodwink a lot of the electorate into believing, oh, he's like a national populist type of guy, which he's not. But that's a little bit beside the point. What we do know is the donors are leaving him. And you look at some of these other people that are a part of his campaign, and they're like coping about it. Oh, he's out raising the opponent's last quarter. He still got all this money, but is that going anywhere? How did that work out for Jeb Bush? A lot of the Jeb Bush donors ended up leaving him for Rubio and these other people when they realized that Jeb Bush was not going to end up getting that nomination. And you're looking at this, DeSantis is somebody who has really made a big career mistake by running. We know that. We've covered that. He was liked by the entire GOP. Now he's making enemies to the point where he has a 35% national favorability rating. He has a 52% unfavorable rating. That is a spread of -17, which is in line with Trump's. You talk about electability. Trump is out there. He's at least tied with Biden nationally, which means he's winning the Electoral College. But DeSantis is supposedly this electable candidate when his favorables are lower than Trump's. His unfavorables in the polls where he has near unanimous name recognition are higher than Trump's. People don't like him, but this supposedly is supposed to be the electable option somehow. It doesn't make sense. The donors know that now. They can't run from it at all, and that's why they're supporting Nikki Haley, which is an even bigger dumpster fire that's going nowhere. We'll see what happens. But even Ken Griffin, the guy who was backing DeSantis initially, he's withholding his money. He's saying, we'll see what happens, which means he's open to DeSantis, but at the same time, he's also open to other people, and that was supposed to be the big kicker that was going to really go out there and give him a bunch of money. Didn't exactly make sense. So many people are going out there. They want Youngkin to run. Youngkin's not stupid enough to run. Youngkin is a smart guy overall. And whether you think he's like this great governor or not or whatever, I don't really support him at the national level. I think he's decent for Virginia. But still, that's beside the point. He's not going to run. If he does, he's making a dumb career decision. But Youngkin is smarter than that. He is not going to take the bait. He's not going to run. They have Nikki Haley out there. And even then, they're like looking at his policy positions. They're looking at abortion. They're looking at like Social Security. And even they are understanding that whatever he brings to the table policy-wise that he'll be attacked on is far more egregious even than Trump getting arrested 4 times, which is hilarious, and that's true. They're not going to necessarily say it that way, but they'll be like, oh, well, Haley's more electable because she caves on everything, which that's not entirely true. I think Trump is the best on the issues, comparatively speaking, when it comes down to if he's able to go out there, market it, remain electable, despite his controversies, whatever. That's beside the point. What we do know is that so many people are going out there and they are abandoning their support in the donor class for Ron. It's over. They are supporting Nikki Haley by and large, and this primary is going to be even more and more of a joke as time goes on. And Donald Trump will be the nominee. Trump is going to get the nomination. You have Iowa. Iowa's in 4 months from now. DeSantis is doing worse in Iowa than he's really ever been doing, despite claiming to have all this money, claiming to have a ground game. It's not going to work. Best case for him, he loses by 10. Then he goes up to New Hampshire, South Carolina. He's going to lose by a ridiculous margin. And I think the donors know that, so they're trying to get DeSantis' support to move behind somebody like Haley because he's done. He's Ron DeSantis. And they know this, and that's why slowly they're ditching him. And I expect in the next couple of months or so, if his campaign continues its downward trajectory, which it is, they're going to be throwing their support behind Haley. I said they'd be throwing their support behind Scott, but after that atrocious debate performance where he went out there and shat the bed, it really does seem as if his political run is over. Pence is not likable. Haley's the one they're banking on. It's not going to work, but it's going to be funny to watch. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so that you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.